Hello and welcome to Back Issue Book Club, a weekly examination of the most memorable storylines in comic books. I am Tristan Cooper, and we didn't discuss talking about funny things to say about ourselves, so I'm going to put Andrew Bridgman on the spot right now.
Hi Tristan. I don't want to be chopped up by scissormen in a bone land.
Oh, perfect.
That's what I don't want to happen to me.
Oh, okay. Wow.
That's it.
Off to a strong start already. Also with me today, Carolyn Page. Come up with your funny thing right now.
I don't want my inner thoughts and demons to be projected into the world.
Okay.
That's what I don't want.
Laying our insecurities bare, ironically enough. And that is what Doom Patrol is all about. That's what we are reading this week. The classic first volume by Grant Morrison and Richard Case, starting with crawling from the wreckage. At home, if you're reading, it's issues 19 through 25, which is kind of strange and maybe something that we should get into. We didn't write a plot synopsis for this book, and I think that might be in part because it's so all over the place. It is technically a story kind of like a group of misfits get together after a terrible tragedy and sort of come under the tutelage of a man in a wheelchair and try to do their best to save the world. But in practice, it's much wilder. It's much more surreal than that. Before we really get into it, Caroline, I wanted to ask you, what was your experience, if any, with the Doom Patrol before this comic?
Doom Patrol was like just on my periph. In general,
Mm-hmm.
I'm more familiar with Marvel properties, and that's where my kind of love is. But I fucking love Doom Patrol. Like, I'm full on huge Doom Patrol fan now.
Great. You have any standouts? Any standout characters?
Crazy Jane.
Crazy Jane. Okay.
Yeah.
She will.
What a cool power.
Yeah.
Powers.
What cool powers.
It's like a million powers. It reminds me a little bit of the movie Split with James McAvoy.
Sure.
Crazy Jane is
Sure.
a character
Because it's an accurate portrayal of dissociative identity disorder.
right,
It's medically accurate.
right, and each personality has a different power. Yeah, it's wild, and at the same time, I don't know. Sometimes comics use mental illness in interesting and different ways, and we don't think
It's
about.
always good and cool, I think.
We don't often address, like, it's kind of brought up in Batman comics how he is beating up the criminally insane every week, and like, you know, Two-Face doesn't know what he's doing. You know what I mean? The Penguin, I think he's just a crook. I don't think he goes to
not crazy.
Blackgate more often than Arkham, but like the Joker, the Riddler, these people have like deep-seated problems. And I don't know how many of them can be solved by like repeated punches to the face and brain.
I mean,
It can't be. That's what Batman proves over and over.
yeah,
Okay.
it keeps it's a pretty persistent problem.
Yeah, wow.
His punching has not worked so far.
The system is failing them at
Yeah.
every turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sorry to get your hopes up, folks. Batman is not in this comic.
No, I was looking for Batman, Spider-Man.
They
None
do
of my
have a
favorites
moment-
showed up.
They do have a moment where they're like, should we call Superman? And they're like, no.
No.
He's-
Robot Man's got this one.
Like, there's a lot of like weird like magic stuff here. So I think Superman might be kind of useless. This is
Superman fights magic.
No,
He
he's
fights-
very bad at it.
He fights all kinds of things, though.
Like-
He's Superman.
Yeah,
He fights at Mr. Mexelmicken. I can't say his name.
Mr. Who?
Mr. Mr. McElroy.
Macklemore?
Macklemore.
Macklemore. He fights Macklemore.
Oh, okay.
That would be a good comic. Let's
not,
read that next week.
I'd not read that comic. That's going to be a
Superman
pass.
just beats up like a regular dude. That'd be great.
So we're kind of all over the place so far right now. But
Just
that's
like
Just
the
like
comic.
the Doom Patrol.
just like the comic. The setup is very, very X-Men.
It's X-Men, but no one looks cool. That's the difference.
It is exactly because like the X-Men are like, oh, we're outcasts, you know.
But they look so
we're
cool and hot
outsiders.
all
like,
the
Oh
time.
man, oh they're standing on a cliffside. Their windswept hair is blowing in the breeze. This woman can control the weather. This man has laser eyes. Badass.
And they just look cool.
But Doom Patrol is like as wild and far out as this comic is. It's a little bit more realistic in its depiction of like misfits and
Well, it doesn't spend a lot of time making them look super cool. And my favorite part is their headquarters. They just live in like this crummy under the mountain thing
Mhm.
that's just like on a hill.
Well,
Like, they don't get a cool
man.
mansion or anything. It's just like, we like the Justice League used to live here, and they're like leasing it out.
Yeah.
So
They're
we'll
gonna
take
fix
it.
it up. It's a
Yeah.
fixer-upper.
Yeah, but it's like
They only
under a
have 3
mountain.
people living there, like, working on it.
That's true. But like they don't have a cool mansion like the X-Men.
That's
No.
true.
I would say the closest they come to a regular looking superhero is Robot Man,
Sure.
who is called Robot Man,
Yeah.
and
Great name.
he does have red underpants.
Yeah. And an iPod on his chest.
Yes, a 1988
Like a
iPod.
Gen 1 iPad.
Yes, that's Gen 1. It's
Or iPod.
1988, I think.
Yeah.
That's correct. And what? But at the same time, like Robot Man is like mostly crying and very sad.
He is sad all the time.
Okay, I loved the way that this comic, not all of it, but I loved the way that it just talked about, it was fully about like mental illnesses, and one of the central tenets of the comic to me was like, that they also address in there was just like, you can, having lived through and living with these what could be a disability also can give you strength because it makes you more empathetic.
Mhm.
And you're
Yeah.
like, I've felt this.
Mhm.
Other people have also felt this.
Mhm.
I just thought that was really cool because it's like, it's not like I'm Superman, like I'm perfect, even though my entire planet's dead. You know, come here, Lois.
Yeah.
It's like I'm so sad and broken, and like
Sure.
I don't understand what's going on, but I'm still gonna try and take down the bad guys.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason why when Robot Man and Crazy Jane first meet, that they both get along really well, and like that Robot Man is able to kind of talk with Jane's like various personalities like on a very human level,
Yeah.
because he's got a lot of insecurities himself. He has that. The book starts with that dream sequence
Yeah.
Yeah.
where Robot Man, who used to be a man, he's not a robot. He is a cyborg.
He used to be Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, well, okay, that's in the TV show, but he
Can't confirm he's not Brendan Fraser.
I cannot
We can neither
confirm
affirm
nor
deny.
nor deny. There's that scene where he's a race car driver. He gets in a crash. The only thing that survives is his brain, which is like, I don't know if like
Yeah, like nothing made it. Like his face is all mashed up. Like, well, we saved his brain, and then like, well, find a robot body to shove this in, I guess.
Which
Yeah.
also isn't the way that the human body works or the personality works. But
Mhm.
that's neither here nor
It's like,
there.
Yeah.
Let's
This
remove
is
my
a
brain.
comic.
Let's see what happens.
Mhm.
Okay.
You never know.
Tune
Maybe he'll
in
become a
next
cool
week.
robot man. Wouldn't that be fun?
yeah, absolutely, 100%. We still need to get to some of the other characters in the
Yeah.
book who come together, because the first couple issues are kind of table setting. We meet Jane, we meet Robot Man, who was one of the only holdovers from the previous Doom Patrol who were all like killed in like a crossover event before the events of this comic. And like today, like the first issue would be like a number 1. They would just like
Yeah.
reboot the series and just say, "Hey, start here. This is a new direction. There's new characters." But back in the day, it was Swamp Thing number 21. Alan Moore is going to come in and change everything, and then it's Doom Patrol with number 19, and everything's all the tables all cleared. There's Robot Man, but there's also Rebus, who is a
Love
combination of Larry Traynor
Yep.
and a woman, I think, Dr. Eleanor Poole,
Yep.
who was
Yeah.
just introduced and then immediately fused with Larry Traynor via the Negative Man spirit,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
So
those
3
are all-
become 1.
There's that great, like super awesome, like panel of them like all like fusing together, and it's just like, the visuals are just so trippy. I don't know like what the script page for that looks like. To like
Cool things. 3 become 1.
draw like a angular spirograph and then do it. But that Rebus I thought was a pretty interesting character, especially from the lens of like 2019, looking at a character who is, for all intents, not a non-binary character.
Yeah, non-gender conforming
Right.
character.
Uh,
The rest of the characters spend the whole story just dead naming.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey, Larry.
Ramal.
Hey, Larry,
He's like,
get out of there.
Please don't call me Larry. I am not Larry anymore.
Yeah, just like on a base level politeness, like Rebus is constantly explaining, my name is Rebus, please stop calling me Larry.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna keep calling you Larry.
Right.
yeah, but when it's clearly not.
Yeah, it's like I'm not Larry. Just please accept that. Like, well, what
do
if
I
we
do I
called
look
you
like
Larry?
Larry? I'm covered in bandages.
Yeah. Well, Larry used to be. My understanding is Larry used to be with the negative energy, and then separated, and then the energy's like, "Let me back in." It was like trying to like knock on the window, like, "Hey, I can't get in. Let me in through the window."
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Larry's like, "All right, I'll open the
Fine.
window."
Fine. Oh boy. So it's around issue. I want to say it's issue 3 that we finally. It might be issue 2 that we finally start to see the Scissormen sort of invade.
They show up in issue 2.
The second issue, which is issue 20. Like again, it's a whole
Listen,
deal.
comic book numbering doesn't make sense. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. And this is volume 1 of Doom Patrol as well. If you just grab the trade paperback, which is not the same as book 1, which is like 2 paperbacks put together. So enjoy that, folks, at home.
Just read every Doom Patrol. Just read all of them, and you're gonna get this one eventually.
So the Scissormen begin invading, and we don't learn later until later that it is part of an imaginary reality, which is
You should
having
explain
an
what the
incursion.
Scissormen are.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Because also,
Yes.
I don't fully understand any of this yet.
Okay.
So I need help.
Well, at the very beginning of that issue, there's a man of the cloth like walking along, like what is it, a junkyard? Or
It's like a junkyard being like, I don't believe in God anymore. Give me a sign. And he's like,
And-
there's a sign.
and then it says, put faith in cod, I think, and then fish start falling from the sky, and then a giant refrigerator falls on him, and he dies.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then that's just like there's so much of that absurdist imagery that like you try to parse, but like the more you look at it, the more it doesn't make sense, and maybe you should just like roll with it. It's a lot of this comic feels like weird for weirdness' sake,
Which is cool.
which is
I was very confused the whole time.
I mean, comics are often cool for coolness' sake, so why not?
Why not?
You know. Well, so tell me what you think is happening with the Scissormen.
Okay, so a bunch of writers created Boneland, which is
Boneland.
called Orquith.
Bone Zone.
The Bone Zone.
Orquith, not to be confused with Thorin Oakenshield's sword, the Orcrist.
Nice.
Ugh.
Everyone.
Ugh.
Boom. Anyway.
Anyways, that's actually pretty good. I feel like there need to be a dissenting voice in this. But yeah, so like a bunch of writers created like this bone world, and they're like, wouldn't it be cool if there was a bone world? And they wrote it in this book that's like all black pages and with braille. And then the book Bone Zone were like, what if I was real now? And then
Brendan Fraser comes back, and it's Monkey Bone.
Oh my God, with Dave Foley.
It's Mummy Bone.
Mummy Bone.
Wow. Yeah, very
Fans
good.
of
got the
late
bandages.
90s Brendan Fraser are going to love this.
So everyone in the world.
That's true.
Yeah.
No one doesn't like the mummy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There might be some people who don't like Monkey Bone.
Back in action. How about it?
So the Black Book actually comes from my understanding, it was a group of philosophers who were kind of doing like thought experiments around logical fallacies.
Yeah.
And then
okay.
they, for some unknown reason in this universe, probably because superheroes already exist, whatever, like magic is real, they just created this. They were so logical about it that this world got
Yeah, it was like,
created.
oh, well, it's going to be real now. It was a weird point in like the late 80s where all comic book writers were like, what if writers could make sci-fi things happen? Like in Watchmen, where like, what if writers made a squid alien?
Yeah, and I mean,
And
Grant
they did.
Morrison was doing this too, because around the same time he did Animal Man, where just like Animal Man just meets Grant Morrison in the comic. It's a whole deal.
They become best friends. They eat ice cream together.
And then the end
And they
point,
kiss.
the end point of this is Deadpool looking straight dead into the camera and just breaking the fourth wall that way.
Yeah.
It's much easier. So you're basically
But then
you've
I don't know
got
where
it.
the Scissormen came from. They're like,
Well,
they
this-
worship a god
they're
who's
like-
also there.
They're like the they kind of like reside or live like in between the friction between worlds, basically, and they're directly referenced as like versions of a character from Struwelpeter, not Stroopwafel.
Stroopwafel.
We talked about this.
I've seen it on the Great British Bake Off. It's the only word I know from Europe.
Struwelpeter is an old German book of fairy tales or like horror stories, basically.
They're the same thing in Germany.
Yeah.
No difference.
It's from the 19th century, and these horrific illustrations depict.
No, it's earlier than that.
No.
I thought it was like mid.
No, I thought it was much earlier than that.
I thought it was like mid 1800s.
Oh.
Like, no.
Germany was founded in 1941 during World War II.
Okay,
that's my understanding.
Andrew
Okay.
has zero knowledge of Europe.
Listen, the first time
European
anyone's
history.
ever heard of Germany was World War II, and then they were then we beat them up, and now they have good beer. Is my
Okay,
understanding.
great.
Yep, checks out.
Now we're all up to speed. Rolling back to Struwelpeter, these horrific illustrations for these children's tales depict children like, oh, this child didn't want to comb his hair or cut his nails, so he looks like a horrific tree man now. Also, the scissor man in particular is really terrible. Little boy suck a thumb, I think, or some variation of that it's called. And this boy won't stop sucking his thumb, so his punishment is a scissor man coming out with giant scissors to clip his thumbs off for life. You don't have thumbs for life.
Okay, so that's why the doctor was getting that treatment.
These fairy tales are so terrifying, and it's the author, whose name escapes me right now, he originally made them because he wanted to make a birthday present for his son, like a fun book. Like, how fucked up was this guy? There's one where a little girl burns to death because she's playing with matches.
That's what happens.
It's just like the most traumatizing.
See, we all should have seen Hitler coming. That's what Germans' idea of fun is.
You are.
That's why Hitler
Let's take it easy on the Germans, okay?
No. I think it was probably Hitler who wrote that, is my guess.
No.
Name one other German. You can't. You can't.
I'm not talking about this
Mike
anymore.
Myers
I'm not
in
talking
that
about this
one
anymore.
sketch.
He's Austrian.
Well, all right.
Anyway, jumping back from Hitler, which we can definitely top. So the scissor men do for the most part is like basically cut you out of reality.
Yeah.
And they cut you, and and what is left over is like very spooky and eerie. So it's like this like white comic book cutout.
Yeah.
A white silhouette.
Spooky.
Like
It
are
is
running
spooky.
and like freaking out too at the same
because
time.
they were cut like mid run.
Yeah.
So I guess it's very fast. It's a very fast process, and it's a really cool moment and scene that I think is probably unique to comics. I think it would be hard to do in like a prose novel. I think it would be harder to do in like TV or a movie. I think this is one of those cool visual moments that it really shines in this particular medium.
Yep.
And it's also creepy. And
It's very creepy.
It's so disturbing in the panels. Like, there's a little boy who goes missing from his room, and his dad's like, "Where are you? Where'd you go?"
The one that freaked me out was the doctor, who's like half of him was cut out and half of him wasn't. And he was like, "They're taking my thumbs."
Yeah, he's like, "They're cutting off my limbs."
so
Yeah.
And he just keeps screaming like, "I'm a doctor." I guess because
need
you
my
need your
hands.
hands as a doctor.
right.
He should be more concerned half of him doesn't exist in reality anymore.
Right.
But whatever.
Sure.
So the team eventually heads to the imaginary realm when one of their own team members, Joshua Clay, who's just like
Joshua's just regular, right?
no,
he
he's
laser
got,
powers.
He has laser powers
But
and he can
like,
fly.
He's not like a freak or anything. Like he's like
He's
good
regular.
to go.
Yeah, he's like the most normal person on the team.
Yeah.
He's a combat medic, I think.
Yeah, he's like a doctor. He has laser powers.
Yeah.
He can fly. He's got his stuff together.
The only thing that is quote unquote wrong with him is that like it's like I don't really want to do this superhero stuff. Like this doesn't sound good. Most people in every DC comic at this point are like, I got laser powers. I have, with great power comes great responsibility. trademark DC Comics, and then I've got to use my laser powers to fight bad guys. And this guy's like,
people all my friends are dying, so
Well,
I don't want to do this.
I think all the friends dying is very funny because they use what's more hilarious than your friends dying, because they use that as so much of the like pathos for the characters, even though Morrison spoke with the previous writer, the writer of the previous arc, and was like, I need you to kill off these characters because I don't want to use them. So that felt very like, I don't know,
like
the setup
severing all
was
these
funny.
personal relationships in the world of the comics. It's like, I don't like these characters. Kill them off.
Yeah. And then they're like, I'm so sad these characters died. Can't believe it.
My favorite character, who we haven't really talked about, is the Chief.
Oh, the Chief.
The Chief, who's their leader, I guess.
You mean Harry Professor X?
Harry Professor X. His name's Calder, I guess, in the comic. And I like him because he's just obsessed with getting Doom Patrol back together for no particular reason.
Doom Patrol.
He doesn't know that. Yeah, it's called Doom Patrol. He's
Doom.
like Professor Xavier calling them the X-Men. It's kind of like narcissistic. He's like, my X-Men, whatever. Doom Patrol is just like, he has a cool name for a group. Like, there's not
it was a top-down group. He was like, Doom Patrol, that's cool. Let me get some heroes.
I'll get anyone. Robot Man, sure. It doesn't matter.
It's also important to note that he does not have superpowers like Professor X.
Yeah, he's just real smart.
Doom Patrol, to my understanding, if I am remembering right, came out a few months before X-Men.
That's correct.
And so people have often accused Marvel of basically stealing the idea of X-Men, especially since Stanley and Jack Kirby didn't really do much with the X-Men. It wasn't until later that it really took off.
Yeah.
They were also both released with the same tagline,
the
like world's strangest heroes, I think.
That was like, two different takes on like, hey, we got weird and cool mutants over here. And DC's like, well, we're just kind of weird. I guess we didn't think any much further than
the
that.
sad robot man in our group.
Who just bemoans his lack of a penis.
Yeah.
Right. And like limbs, but also a penis.
Well, he's got phantom limb syndrome for his whole body, right? He can't feel or smell or taste anything.
He's like the younger brother in Full Metal Alchemist. He's like that.
Uh-huh.
You know anime, guys?
You guys heard of anime?
Y'all heard of anime?
Mm-hmm. Alphonse?
Yeah, Alphonse.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
It's like comic books, but they're move.
Motion comic books.
Yeah.
Sure. So we should moving on in the story as far as we can move on. The Jane and Robot Man and Rebus all appear in Orquith. Bone Zone, the Bone Town, USA.
Yep.
And they basically have to fight a bunch of scissormen while Rebus goes off and talks to some clock people.
Yeah, he uses riddles on them.
Right, and that is the whole idea.
Kind of.
Right?
I don't know if it's a riddle.
It's
kind of a riddle.
It's like, okay, I get into a car accident with my father, and they take me to the hospital, and they're like, I can't operate on him. It's my son. How's that possible? And so it's the mother. And it's like that.
I thought it was kind of nice that, like, there's a comic book. It's a superhero comic book, technically. You have to have a big fight. So while Robot Man and Jane are fighting all the scissor men out front, Rebus just kind of, like, goes out and, like, has like that scene from Labyrinth. Basically, one of us is lying and one of us is telling the truth. And it ends basically with them sort of figuring out that this universe shouldn't exist. This reality shouldn't exist.
That was the one thing that bothered me, really, was like...
I didn't get it.
Just them being like, oh, we realize that we can't exist, so we don't exist.
Mm-hmm. I don't think, so therefore I'm not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Kind of. I don't know.
But I did like I really like the visuals of the two leaders who were like, one of us is a liar and one of us is telling the truth. Right. Which must be so boring for them being trapped there together.
Right.
Like, what kind of conversations could they have?
They're just sitting there waiting for someone to tell them riddles or whatever.
Yeah, why not? They were written that way.
Tell me a riddle.
I guess it's one of those things. It's almost like a fantasy version of like the computer logical fallacy.
Yeah.
You go ask a computer a certain question and it'll blow up.
Totally.
Or whatever. And that's just sort of like the philosophical version of that. And I guess it collapses on itself, which is like at least a little bit more interesting than just like punching something.
Yeah, it's weird, and I like that. I like weird.
boy, do we have more of that, because like the comic, the volume that we're reading doesn't end with that first 4-issue arc crawling from the wreckage. It goes on, and there's a couple more stories. One with the villain Red Jack.
Yep.
Who is
God? Question mark.
He's not.
Ripper, Spoiler alert. He's not.
I don't know what's his deal. Is he kind of God and kind of Jack the Ripper?
No, he's just like kind of an
and also
interdimensional being.
Yeah,
who feeds off of pain.
But he also Red Jack also appears every 100 years.
Yeah.
So the idea being that 100 years ago, before the events of the comic, he was in London ripping it up, and then he appeared again. He's like he's a Brigadoon, if you would.
Sure.
Like the musical.
Yeah.
Y'all
heard of musicals?
Y'all heard of Brigadoon?
They're like comic books, but with singing.
Exactly. So Brigadoon Jack is back in town, and he has I forget how everyone else gets involved with Jack. Like
they just get like
he
taken.
steals Rhea, who's one of the old Doom Patrol members.
Right.
She's in a
Doom
coma.
Patrol.
She's in a coma, and he's like, I want to torture her and marry her or something.
Yeah.
Along with all these 1 million butterflies.
Yeah, that he always tortures so he can
feed off their pain.
Yeah, he was like, why butterflies? And it's interesting, like also in Sandman comics, just the butterfly being associated with like not quite reality.
Sure.
It's an interesting image. But then Red Jack in this, he's like, I feed off their pain, but it takes so many butterflies because they are so small and they can only generate so much pain. I'm like, why not just use like something with a bigger brain?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
They can feel a lot of pain.
It's like in the Matrix where they're like taking humans to get their body heat, and like just take bears. Bears produce more body heat.
Wow.
And then we could have had the Matrix, but with bears.
I believe bears have longer gestation periods, so maybe that's it. And they're bigger.
They also have to hibernate. I don't know if that's going to affect their body temperature.
Oh, that's true.
Listen, you guys are ruining Bear Matrix.
I'm in for Bear Matrix. I'm in for Bear Matrix.
Everything's the same, but bears. They're wearing cool trench coats. They're shooting
Neo
guns.
a panda bear?
Oh, Neo could be a panda bear because it's like they're black and white, so it's like duality and stuff.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
Oh my God,
Wow.
Bear Matrix
Duality, huh?
Yeah,
it's deep.
Yeah.
I think that's the kind of nonsense speaks to parts of this arc specifically, because it's a 2-issue arc where Red Jack sort of like takes people into his own reality, I guess you could say.
So many realities.
He was like, oh, I'm God. I live for so long. Every like once in a while I'll come to your reality, and it's like only every 100 years. That's not that long for if you're immortal.
And
you know,
it says something that like how trippy this comic is. Like a character has to be like, oh wait, this isn't the Scissorman, right? We just did that. This is a different weird reality. Okay, just checking.
There's so many realities with people with like weird floating heads and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, floating heads.
And so as it turns out, you can just stab God in the back.
Yeah, like that's it. Oh, that's all you got
with his own knife.
He just says he's God.
Right.
He's not really God.
Right.
God clearly doesn't exist in this nonsense.
Right.
Yeah, there's no God would allow this.
I guess. I don't know if God's made of butterflies and it would explode into a huge swarm of butterflies. When
that was kind of weird. Is he also made of butterflies?
No. They released the Crazy Jane releases the butterflies, and that he begins to lose his power because the butterflies apparently are no longer feeling pain.
Right.
Oh man, and Doctor Strange did that butterfly thing, and Avengers. We're in a golden age of butterflies in comic books.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take.
That's
my take. Bear Matrix, butterflies.
Okay,
let's do it.
Let's do it. There's no copyright issues around us making Bear Matrix, right?
Nope.
No, I didn't think so.
That sounds good. Just call it as long as we have Matrix in the title, I think we're safe. Something that Red Jack says as he dies stuck with me. He said that some stories have no meaning.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that and wondering if that meant just like, hey, sometimes we just have some wacky shit in this comic.
Yeah.
And
there's no deeper subtext. Sometimes it's just like, hey, this would be weird.
Yeah, and it also made me wonder whether the act of saying that stories have no meaning infers that the idea that maybe the story did have meaning about stories having not meaning.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Oh
I
man.
like it. Morrison's like he's kind of exercising his like more philosophical.
Yeah,
He's just like tossing around ideas, and there's some like very clear meaning in some of this. One, don't marry someone in a coma.
check.
Bingo. Yep.
That's good. And then also a character which we haven't talked about, Dorothy.
Right. So we can move on to her story. I think she joins the team in the middle of the Red Jack arc, but she gets her own real big spotlight in the next couple issues.
Yeah, or she comes in right at the end of the Scissor Man
Right.
arc.
Yeah.
Is that what happens? And then she's like, "Here's a praying mantis."
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
She is a young girl, I think, right?
Yes.
She's like
It's a little unclear exactly.
She's like
how
a
old she is.
teen, I think.
a young teen.
Yeah.
Basically, her name is Dorothy. She dresses like Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz.
Yep.
She has something of an ape face.
She looks like a Planet of the Apes.
She
Not a real ape.
she looks a little bit like
Planet of
also
the
or
Apes.
like a Twilight Zone
Mhm.
person.
Mhm.
And her inner anxieties and fears appear to manifest out in the real world, as you mentioned, as a praying mantis, just kind of hanging out, and she can banish them like you can banish your own like toxic thoughts. But
Can you?
You know how you can just
Well,
get rid of
teach me.
thoughts by being like, I don't want to have that thought anymore.
Yeah. Well, I gave you I gave you some time. I'm gonna put you away for a minute and think about I don't know, jelly beans.
Doom Patrol.
Oh my God, Doom Patrol.
There you go.
Jelly beans and butterflies.
Perfect. And so a lot of the next couple issues are Dorothy and Joshua Clay, aka Tempest. Who I don't
didn't know
think
he
he
had
is.
a name.
I don't think
Like a cool code name.
I don't know how often he is referred to as Tempest in the comics so far, but I think he's just mostly Joshua, and he's just like attempting to help Dorothy deal with her literal inner demons that keep kind of coming out, and a lot of it seems to kind of stem from like puberty and like the things that adults like just like have not explained, like
she's like she's been a total shut-in. She like her parents did not bother to homeschool her at all, nor did they tell her that she was eventually one day going to get her period, which is like would be very shocking if you didn't know it was coming.
Sure.
No one told me about the blood.
I love that panel. I'm getting this panel tattooed like on the side of my thigh and the side of my face.
Yeah.
Maybe not either of those.
Tattooed over your face.
Over my face.
Yeah.
No one told me about the
your
blood.
whole body like in Prison Break?
Yes.
That
And
way,
it's
if you
the
ever
map. It's just the map of the Dorkly offices.
Yes. And so like if you ever need to find the bathroom, just be like, well,
no,
it's on my back.
Oh gosh.
Y'all ever hear of Prison Break?
Yes.
It's like anime, but real life.
Okay.
Yes.
It's kind of like that.
It's like anime, but in prison.
I'm waiting for them to remake it and with Prison Break Brotherhood, because
they stay closer to the source material.
Yeah. I think I would appreciate that. I think
the great thing about that Dorothy storyline though is like, okay, a giant praying mantis appears, and it's like, oh no, that's from my mind or whatever, and Joshua and her like get rid of it. Like, that's weird. And then Joshua goes and talks to the chief, and the chief's like, hey, Maxwell Lord called, and he's like, oh, we forgot. We left an artifact there at your headquarters that manifests thoughts and subconscious into reality. And Joshua's like, that's weird. And he doesn't connect the two at all. He's like, all right, whatever. And then like this keeps happening, and he's like, it never connects until the very end. He's like,
right.
Oh, wait a second, maybe I should get rid of that thing. And he does. It's like, it's fine.
Yeah, he's like, oh shit, I forgot.
It's like the one thing he's doing. Yeah. Is like, hey, there's this one artifact that manifests your subconscious into reality.
I had two conversations today. One was with a young girl who can manifest terrible thoughts, and the other was about a terrible artifact that could manifest thoughts. And I see nothing wrong with that.
Probably unrelated.
What is happening here? All these scary demons are chasing us.
Oh yeah, and then Dorothy's imaginary friends slash parents,
family.
Yeah.
So spooky.
who are very
Cool.
freaky and upsetting looking.
They're cool looking,
They are
but
very
they're
cool
scary
and
looking.
very upsetting. I don't
Yeah.
like thinking about them. I don't like thinking about anything in
Thing.
this comic. It's very good, but I don't like thinking about it.
No.
It's very upsetting.
No. It's been a long time since I've read this, and I think it overall holds up pretty well in most respects. There's a TV show, out there now, and I'm wondering like how they will adapt any of this. I guess that goes for the Umbrella Academy. That goes for
They got some good monkey CGI in that.
yeah. I'm sure.
I was impressed. I was like, oh, I thought the monkey CGI would be bad, but
Well, I mean, they've been working on it with the Flash, Gorilla Grodd.
yeah, Gorilla Grodd. I only saw that first episode he appeared in, which wasn't super long, but he looked pretty good.
Yeah, well, you didn't see that scene where he goes back in time to kill young Barack Obama?
Oh my god, I heard about that, but I didn't see it. I should watch The Flash.
I think that's actually Legends of Tomorrow.
I'll watch all of them. I'll watch every show on the CW until I
Okay.
get there.
Wow,
Great.
that sounds good.
Let us know how that
going.
goes. If the Doom Patrol show is 3/4 as weird as the comic, it will be my new favorite show.
Mhm.
Like if there's a TV show that's as weird as this comic, I'm super there.
It's got
Like,
a good cast.
exploring these themes and ideas, I don't think it will be as weird because
not.
they're not, even though we live in the golden age of television, like they're not going to give me that
Sure.
Sure.
for me.
Yeah. I only watch shows about the city of Chicago on NBC.
Fair enough.
So
There's
if it's not in
9
Chicago, I don't
million
care.
shows.
That's I have enough shows. I have 9 hours of television a week.
Mhm.
But it's got Timothy Dalton, it's got Brendan Fraser, Matthew Bomer, and other people too.
Some new actors and actresses on the scene.
Yeah.
Well, I think it might be a known quantity by the time this goes out to the general public, so we could be very optimistic or not optimistic enough. So we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Jumping back to the comic, have any last thoughts? Would you recommend this to? Who would you recommend this to? I guess would be a better question.
I would recommend it if you're looking for something that's a little different than the traditional like bow 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 superhero story.
Mhm.
I think it's really I found a lot of the characters like super sympathetic. I think it talks about some of the ways that it phrases things about like depression and trauma. I think are really, it's like nice to see those representations, and but it's also like a weird trippy story that's kind of a head fuck. So
Mhm.
I highly recommend this
Mhm.
comic.
If you were ever in a car accident and your brain was the only part of you that survived, and you got put into a robot body, this is the book for you.
Would you really want to relive that though?
I think it's kind of hard to not think about that.
I guess you would
So you'd
finally
be like,
feel
well, I'm going to
represented.
read this book and watch Full Metal Alchemist, and
Okay.
that's it.
Okay, wow, and
And
that's
then
it, huh?
probably kill myself, I'll be honest.
Andrew, oh my god,
Criminy. Okay,
you were on
wow.
the opposite of fire today.
Wait, I'm the
You're-
opposite. I'm hired again? Or wait, or am I more fired?
I think you're.
No,
on-
fire.
I think we should
Oh.
maybe put you on ice until next week. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us and talking about Doom Patrol. Thank you, Andrew and Carolyn, for joining us today. Next week, we will be talking about Planet Hulk, so stay tuned for that. Thank you for joining us, and until then, we will see you in the funny papers.